the best band in the land. Well, he can play a bugle call like you never heard before.
I just can't make it all alone. I really should be owning you.
And I always said to Mo, you know, the dream came true. Stop, sit down and enjoy it.
Barry Gibb has kept silent about Robin for years, but the wait is over. What explosive revelations does Barry have? His upcoming confession is set to turn everything you thought you knew about the Bee Gees upside down. Why has Barry decided now is the time to share these hidden truths? Let's understand what Barry Gibb said when he broke the silence after Robin's death.
Every brother I've lost was in a moment when we were not getting on. And so I have to live with that.
Barry and Robin Gibb, the iconic duo from the Bee Gees, had one of the most dynamic and complex musical relationships. From their early days in the 1960s to their legendary status in the 1970s and beyond, their bond was not just about being brothers, but also about being creative partners and, sometimes, rivals. Born on the Isle of Man in the late 1940s, Barry, Robin, and Maurice Gibb, known as the Gibb brothers, were destined for greatness. Their family moved to Chorlton-cum-Hardy in Manchester, England, in 1955, and this move set the stage for their future in music. As kids, they formed a band called the Rattlesnakes, with Barry on guitar and vocals, and Robin and Maurice on vocals. They had a couple of friends, Paul Frost on drums, and Kenny Horrocks on T-chest bass, who joined them. Their first taste of performing was in local venues, but things took a memorable turn in December 1957. The boys were set to lip-sync to a record at the local cinema, a popular pastime for kids back then. However, disaster struck when the fragile shellac record broke as they rushed to the theater. Left with no choice, they had to sing live.
Sing along and sing along, this time is passing by. I'll drift along and breathe along just like a butterfly.
In May 1958, the Rattlesnakes disbanded when Frost and Horrocks left. The Gibb brothers then formed a new group called Wee Johnny Hayes and the Blue Cats, with Barry taking on the name Johnny Hayes. But their journey was about to take a major turn. In August 1958, the Gibb family, including their older sister Leslie and their baby brother Andy, who had just been born in March of that year, emigrated to Australia. The young Gibb brothers started performing locally to earn some pocket money. Speedway promoter Bill Good hired them to entertain the crowd at the Redcliffe Speedway in 1960. Here they met Brisbane radio presenter Bill Gates, who gave them the name Bee Gees, later changed to Bee Gees. Despite the popular belief, the name wasn't a nod to Brothers Gibb, but rather a combination of their initials. Barry's songwriting caught the attention of Australian star Cole Joye, who helped them secure a recording deal with Festival Records' subsidiary, Leedon Records, in 1963. The Bee Gees, now officially named as such, started releasing singles, and Barry even wrote songs for other Australian artists. Their big break came in 1965 with the song Wine and Women.
Wine and women song will only make me sad.
Which led to their first LP, the Bee Gees Sing and Play 14 Barry Gibb songs. However, by 1966, their commercial success was dwindling, and Festival Records was considering dropping them. They transferred to Spin Records, with Festival retaining the Australian distribution rights. Through Kipner, the Bee Gees met Ossie Byrne, a producer who would play a crucial role in their early recordings. Byrne gave the brothers access to his small studio in Sydney, which allowed them to hone their recording skills. This period was incredibly productive for them. They recorded a lot of original material, including their first major hit, Spicks and Specks,
Where are the girls left far behind? The sticks and the spades.
Despite their growing success in Australia, the Gibb brothers were frustrated by their limited opportunities. So, on January 4th, 1967, they set out to return to England, bringing Ossie Byrne with them. Returning to England started a new chapter in their career. They faced the challenges of re-establishing themselves in a new music scene, but their early successes had built a solid foundation. The Bee Gees' story is one of perseverance and adaptability. The brothers' ability to navigate their early struggles, reinvent themselves, and adapt to changing musical trends showcase their talent and resilience. Before they departed from Australia for England, Hugh Gibb, the father of the Bee Gees, sent demo tapes of the group to Brian Epstein, who managed the Beatles and ran NEMS, a British music store. Epstein passed these demos to Robert Stigwood, who had recently joined NEMS. Barry said that they needed everyone to agree on decisions or nothing would happen, which made things complicated. Their problems didn't stop even after their peak. When Morris died in 2003, Robin wanted to continue as the Bee Gees, but Barry wasn't on board. Barry later realized that Robin was pushing so hard to keep going because he didn't want to be seen as weak due to his illness. Now, Barry Gibb has finally broken his silence about his relationship with Robin after his death. The interview kicked off with a light-hearted moment. Barry, known for his songwriting prowess, shared a bit about his creative process. Some kind of sauce, or some kind of trigger, he explained, is often the fire for a new song. He then revealed he'd been working on a tribute to Robin called The End of the Rainbow. The lyrics, he said, were all about time.
I've got a song that I've been working on for Robin, and it's called The End of the Rainbow.
Today is tomorrow, winters are summers, and the end of the rainbow is here. The success of the Bee Gees was immense, but it wasn't without its share of pain. Barry spoke candidly about his greatest regret, that every brother he lost was during a time when they weren't getting along. This personal grief was compounded by the fact that he had to live with the unresolved conflicts from those times. "I'm the last man standing," he said.
I see a lot of sides to life now that I didn't see before, and I don't know why, but I'm the last man standing, so...
Struggling to comprehend how he ended up as the only surviving member of the group. The weight of being the eldest and surviving when his brothers did not was something he found difficult to understand. Barry took a moment to reflect on their humble beginnings. He pointed out that they weren't born into wealth, but came from modest beginnings in Manchester. The Gibb family emigrated to Australia in 1958, seeking a better life. Barry expressed a deep connection to Australia, saying it's where his heart and art truly belonged. He reminisced about how, as kids, the Gibb brothers had no fear in pursuing their dreams despite their limited means. The conversation then moved to the early days of their music career. Barry shared how the Bee Gees were determined to become famous, and despite their close-knit family bond, Barry, Maurice, and Robin had a unique dynamic. Barry humorously recounted how Maurice once joked that they were actually triplets, and Barry was just deformed. Barry discussed the reasons for leaving Australia, citing ambition and the search for better opportunities. One of the notable anecdotes was about their hit song Massachusetts.
Feel I'm going back to Massachusetts.
Barry admitted that at the time, they didn't even know how to spell Massachusetts and had never been there. The song, he explained, was a commentary on the fleeting nature of trends, with Massachusetts symbolizing the flower power era that would eventually pass. Barry also talked about their father's influence. Although their father was not openly affectionate or expressive, he instilled in them a strong work ethic. Barry reflected on how their father's lack of praise drove them to seek approval and work harder. This drive was evident in their work ethic and their pursuit of success. The Bee Gees faced various ups and downs in their career. Barry talked about how, in 1969, Robin left the band, but they reunited 2 years later. By the mid-70s, their comeback was full of success, especially with the rise of disco. Barry described this period as being like being in a bubble, experiencing the storm of success from within, unable to fully grasp the extent of their fame. Discussing their creative process, Barry explained how they would typically start with the melody and then work on the lyrics. He described this as letting the music ferment in their minds before fitting the lyrics to it. This approach led to their incredible success, with multiple hits and chart-topping songs. Barry recalled a time when they had 5 songs in the top 10, and he himself had 3 songs in the top 5, each by different artists. Prior to recording their debut international album, the group expanded to include Colin Peterson and Vince Maloney. Their second British single, New York Mining Disaster 1941,
Have you seen my wife, Mr. Jones? Do you know?
their next single, To Love Somebody, a soulful ballad written for Otis Redding and sung by Barry, climbed into the U.S. top 20 without any trickery. Another successful single, Holiday, reached number 1, 16 in the U.S. February saw the release of Horizontal, which continued their success with the UK number. They also embarked on a Scandinavian tour, turned down an offer to score the film Wonderwall, and began a German tour, experiencing wild fan reactions in Switzerland. The Bee Gees performed Words on The Ed Sullivan Show in March 1968 and held a concert at the Royal Albert Hall.
Talk in everlasting words and dedicate them all.
They followed with more singles, including Words, Jumbo, and The Singer Sang His Song. Their third album, Idea, reached number 1, 4 in the UK and number 17 in the US. Vince Maloney left the group during this period, and the band was hit by Robin's health issues, leading to a postponed U.S. tour. As the Bee Gees entered 1969, they experienced internal tensions, with Robin feeling sidelined. Their next album, Odessa, was praised by critics, but it was the end of Robin's tenure with the group, and he left to pursue a solo career. The Bee Gees continued with Barry, Maurice, and Colin Peterson, releasing Cucumber Castle. The album and singles had mixed success, and the group faced further challenges. Their turning point came with the release of To Whom It May Concern in 1972. This album was the ultimate beginning of a new era for the Bee Gees. Barry, Robin, and Maurice decided to explore the emerging disco sound, which would later become their signature style. The decision wasn't unanimous, and the group had heated discussions. Robin was initially resistant to the change, fearing it would alienate their existing fan base. The release of Jive Talkin' in 1975 was a game-changer. It was the first of many hits that defined their disco era. Despite their differences, Barry and Robin recognized the new sound's potential. They worked hard to blend their distinctive voices with the pulsating rhythms of disco. The result was a string of hits like Night Fever, Stayin' Alive, and How Deep Is Your Love. These songs not only cemented their place in music history, but also showcased their ability to adapt and evolve. However, success didn't come without challenges. The intense pressure of fame and the constant demand for new material took a toll on their personal relationships. Barry and Robin, despite their sibling bond, found themselves in frequent disagreements. Their competitive nature sometimes led to tension, both in the studio and on stage. Barry and Robin Gibb, the Bee Gees, had a really tough relationship, even though they made amazing music together. Their problems started early. In 1969, Robin left the band because he felt that their new manager, Robert Stigwood, liked Barry more. This wasn't a one-time issue, it was a recurring problem. Barry also spoke about working with other famous artists, including Barbra Streisand. He admitted that Streisand could be intimidating, describing her as scary because of her unpredictable nature. Despite this, Barry had immense respect for her talent. The conversation then shifted to Barry's iconic falsetto. He told how discovering and using his falsetto voice became a defining characteristic of their sound. This technique led to a string of hits and contributed to their success. Barry noted how Robin was particularly driven by the desire for success, which motivated their creative output. Reflecting on his own humility, Barry shared his belief that never fully embracing success was a way to stay grounded. He noted that everything is fleeting, and witnessing how things pass over time reinforced this perspective. This understanding helped him maintain humility despite his achievements. Barry also talked about his friendship with Michael Jackson, describing their relationship as one of mutual respect and support. He recalled Jackson's warnings about the music industry and their shared experiences. When asked about his greatest achievement, Barry highlighted his family. He spoke with pride about his children and grandchildren, emphasizing that these personal relationships were what mattered most to him. The love and support from his family provided him with a sense of fulfillment beyond his musical success.
What do you think your greatest achievement is?
My family, my children, my grandchildren. Because that's real.
The interview touched on Barry's long marriage to Linda, which he attributed to their shared humor and laughter. Despite the challenges, their ability to keep laughing together contributed to their lasting relationship. Barry's bond with his brothers was unbreakable. He reflected on how their shared dreams and unity were central to their lives and careers. Barry spoke fondly of Robin's sense of humor in his tribute, comparing it to the legendary Spike Milligan. This shows just how much Barry valued Robin's unique comedic talent. Barry also remembered his other brother, Maurice, who died in 2003. He found comfort in the thought that Morris and Robin were now together. They were both beautiful, and now they're together. They're actually together. When you're twins all your life. You go through every emotion, and they're finally together, Barry said. This sense of reunion was important to Barry, offering him some peace. The loss of Robin hit Barry hard. He talked about how losing Robin and Morris was a huge trauma for him and his family. Barry also had to deal with the earlier deaths of their younger brother Andy in 1988, and their father Hugh shortly after. Robin's much more recent passing had made me depressed, and there were times when I'd felt that nothing was worthwhile anymore, he admitted. Even with his grief, Barry found solace in music. After Robin's death, he returned to performing, taking his son Stephen and Maurice's daughter Sammy along. We all lose someone, and you have to deal with it and grow from it somehow, Barry said. My way of handling it is to go back on stage. Music became a way for him to cope and keep the family connection alive. Barry also reflected on their relationship. He admitted that they had conflicts, especially towards the end of Robin's life. Even right up to the end, we found conflict with each other, which now means nothing. It just means nothing, Barry said. It shows that holding on to old conflicts can sometimes feel meaningless once a loved one is gone. Barry's story reminds us how important family is and how dealing with conflicts while you can make a big difference. What do you think was the most difficult time of Barry's life? Throw your comments our way And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.